Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today and Dr. Q Monad from the Indian Palm Leaf Reading Institute. This is the second time that Dr. Q has been on the show with me. His first show was episode 1143, where we talked about this amazing technique. Would you call it a technique, Dr. Q?
More like a wisdom technique, yes.
Lots of wisdom indeed. So let's refresh. I know not everyone may have heard that show. So tell me about Indian palm leaf reading and what it actually is.
First and foremost, hello, and thank you very much for having me back at your show. I feel very honored, I should say, to be back. And well, in a nutshell, Indian palm leaf reading is the literal term for it. Indian, because it's in India. Palm leaf, because it's messages for people a few thousand years ago were written on dried palm leaves. So nothing to do with your palms of your hands, palm leaves. And reading, because, the reader reads the message from those dried palm leaves. There are several words, actually, terms that you can use for Indian palm leaf reading. That would be Nadi reading or Nadi astrology. Nadi is the name of the actual leaf, hence the same meaning, Nadi reading or palm leaf reading. Nadi also means pulse, a human's pulse, heartbeat, means seeker. So a person who gets a reading is a Nadi. So also Nadi reading or Nadi astrology makes sense. Reading because you read it from a Nadi, a leaf, or astrology because it's based also on Vedic astrology. It's a sub-branch, to keep it simple, of Vedic astrology. A sub-branch, yes. And Vedic astrology is Indian astrology. And I don't want to get too deep into it because otherwise we'll be talking for 5 hours instead of just 45 minutes.
Yes, it sounds very complicated. And I do know that the art of reading these palm leaves takes years and years and years of study, doesn't it?
Yes, indeed it does, yes. And there is no palm leaf reading school somewhere in India where kids can go and study it. No. You would sign up with, it's either passed on from grandfather, father, son, grandson. That's a very common way. Or you as a seeker, as a person who wants to learn this, would dedicate your life, years of your life, to a master reader. You would start at the bottom by sweeping the floor and running errands, and then gradually the reader will start sharing with you some of his knowledge and wisdom. And after a few years, you can graduate and become a reader. Yes. So it takes quite a while.
Yeah, quite the study. And they're written in ancient Tamil.
Yes,
right?
You've got a good memory indeed. So the hub of it all, Saga has it. Let's start from the beginning. Saga has it that about 2,000-3,000 years ago, we do not know exactly when because there is no written record of that. 2,000-3,000 years ago, enlightened sages called Maharishi. Maharishi means a great sage, wrote on dried palm leaves messages for people to then be read to them whenever the seeker, the nadi, is ready to receive it. In whatever reincarnation, male or female, doesn't matter where they're from. You don't have to have any connection with India at all. And just in case you have noticed, I'm not Indian myself. I'm just a regular white guy who happened to have an amazing reading in which I was predicted 7 years ago by my first reading by the reader. Oh, and by the way, he said, you will bring this to the West. And I thought he's kidding with me, obviously pulling my leg, because I only had my reading done because I tried to clean my karma. We can get to that in a moment too. But about 2,000-3,000 years ago, these enlightened sages, there are 18 of them, the main ones, 18, and Agastya is the big guy. So when you have your reading, most likely you have an Agastya reading. They dictated them to their disciples, and they were then scratching these messages in ancient Tamil, which doesn't exist anymore, this language. Now they speak modern Tamil, and every Tamil person is very proud to say that it's even older than Sanskrit. And in India, the southernmost parts of India is the state called Tamil Nadu, and people there speak Tamil, versus most of the rest of India, they speak Hindi. So in the southernmost parts of India called Tamil Nadu, which is the original India, every Tamil people is happy to say too, because the rest came later, which now is known as India. And they speak Tamil, and that's a minority language. And when I say minority, it's also kind of funny because there's 85 million people living in that one state alone. So twice as many as in California. So quite a lot of minority, I should say. And the reader, that's the person who can find your leaf and then read it to you. The reader's job is to, first of all, search for your bundles. Now we're getting into the thick of things now. A leaf, as you can imagine, being a dried palm leaf, is very brittle. And a leaf is never on its own. It will crack and be gone very soon. So what happens is, similar palm leaves travel together in a bundle, also known as a book. In a bundle that has a cover, which you can refer to as a book as well, which has a wooden cover, both ends, and in between there are these dried palm leaves, very brittle, and these palm leaves are a few hundred years old, not 2,000 or 3,000 years old, because after a while they just disintegrate. So what has happened over the years is that priests and readers just copy them over to newer palm leaves, and that's how they survived the centuries, kind of like monks in Europe. They did the same by copying books over. Now, these bundles are stored in archives, for the most part, in southern India. Now, when you think of an archive or a library, you think of, temperature controlled, air conditioning, security guards, computer system. None of this is the reality. The reality is these little archives and libraries are little dirty-ish holes in the wall somewhere, and readers know where to go. And there are hundreds of these archives, not just 1 or 2 or 10 or 50, hundreds, maybe a couple thousand. I do not know, quite many. No one really knows. And I've been doing this for many years now. So I'm telling you, nobody really knows. And it's the chaos of India that is, on one hand, very fascinating, and a draw to many people that go and want to explore India. And on the other hand, it's just incomprehensible how the system works despite the chaos. It does. Don't ask me how, because I don't know, but it works. So the reader would then go and look for a bundle that hopefully contains your individual palm leaf. Now, how does a reader know to look for your palm leaf? The simple answer is the secret lies in your thumbprint. So in India, if you were in India, you will go to a reader's office, you would submit your thumb impression using good old ink and paper. The reader would look at your thumb impression, male right, female left, very important. And that's all that the reader knows, that you're male or female and your thumb impression. And your sexual orientation has no impact on it. Also, if you are a transsexual, you would go with your birth gender. Depending on whatever side you switched, you go with the birth gender. It's very important because we already had lesbians and homosexuals and transsexuals. So I'm letting you know already to your audience. Yes, you can search for that too because it makes no difference at all. The importance is your birth gender. So you would submit your impression, the reader would look at it, and your thumbprint has a name. There are 108 characteristics. There's a pool of 108 characteristics, but only a few of them are in a person's thumbprint. And that combination gives it a very specific name. And it's very detailed. It tells you a lot about you as a soul already. It's quite impressive, I should say. Usually there are three parts to it. The beginning of your life, the middle life, and then the end life. It could have a crown in it. It could have shell in it. Or it could have one single energetic circle or two circles. It's all written in your thumbprint, and the reader knows exactly what to do with the information. And your thumb impression name will be explained to you too in your reading, by the way, as Erica knows. So the reader looks at your thumbprint, determines the name of your thumbprint, and then would go on a physical search from one archive to the next to the next. You might think search means typing something in the computer or looking up a registry or of some sort. None of that is the case. The reader, literally, I'm telling you, would hop on his bicycle or use his moped or use public transportation, bus or so, and go from one archive to the next to the next. Obviously, you would start with the archives near you, so you can either walk there or use a bicycle, and if you can't find them, you would go further and further away. And if it's that far away, you would even engage the services of an agent, believe it or not. So they would call the agent and say, I need a bundle that carries the specific thumbprint name of, let's say, Erica. And he will give you the name of the thumbprint, and then each bundle, the cover of the bundle, also referred to as a book, has a number, and that number refers to the name of your thumbprint. And every single leaf in a bundle has the same thumbprint, which means you are soul sisters, soul brothers. You do not know them, of course, because it could be a guy from Australia, a lady from France, but you carry the same thumbprint name, and that has a major impact because you have, in a way, similar lives, obviously, but you're not related to them at all. So the search part is you submit your thumbprint, reader goes on a search, a physical one, and that takes a while. So you got to be a little patient. It's not just, oh, you call up, here I am, thumbprint, the next hour you get it. No, it could be months. The average wait time is 1 to 2 months, give or take. We search for 6 months. After 6 months, we then say, sorry, we couldn't identify a bundle that contains your palm leaf. So after a while, the reader will come back to the office and say, hey, I found a bundle. Then if you lived in India, because it's very much part of Southern Indian culture, you then would walk into the reader's office and then you would receive the two final parts, because it's a 3 parts thing. Search, we just finished. We found the bundles, brought them to the office. Matching, and then the reading. Matching is when the reader identifies your individual palm leaf within the set of bundles that he found. It's usually 2 or 3 bundles that they find. And that in itself is quite a feat, I should say, because there are thousands of bundles, tens of thousands of bundles with just your thumbprint name. So the reader not just picks the very first or second, they're somewhat connected to the universe. In short, if you wish, if your palm leaf is like the downloaded individual version of the Akashic Records for Erica, in a way, keeping it as simple as possible. So then the reader would intuitively pick the right 2 or 3 out of the, I don't know how many bundles that only, and I'm only talking about the bundles that have your thumbprint name. There are millions that have, for all these different variations of thumbprint names, but just yours. And then he would open them up in the matching process in front of you, and through a process of elimination, will identify you in one of them. Now, this is the mind-blowing part, as Erica remembers very well, and I do too, because I have had the honor to be your moderator in it. The reader knows nothing about you, really, nothing. He just knows you're female or male, and your thumbprint name, that's it. And then through a process of elimination, he identifies, in a successful matching, your first name, your mother's first name, father's first name, date of birth, time of birth, siblings if you have any, kids if you have any, how many, gender, spouse, many times a spouse's name, even your ex-spouse. If the ex-spouse was important to you for your soul, even though you yourself might believe, oh my gosh, I had a terrible relation with this person, but your soul might have benefited from it, or was important to the soul, he will tell you also your ex-spouse's name. And some other factors that you can identify. You know it's you. It blows your mind. It certainly blew my mind, because my reader in my reading told me, "Oh, you have parents from 2 different continents." Holy moly, that's so true. Absolutely right. And he told me many things. I was born in one country, lived in another country, then another, and now live in another country. I said, "Holy smokes, how could you do this?" So it's you, as Erica knows. It's you. Now, the whole thing is even more complex, because ancient Tamil and modern Tamil too, it's kind of like ancient Greek and modern Greek. A modern Greek person cannot speak or understand ancient Greek, so it needs a scholar to do that. There are sound-based languages, Tamil, sound-based, versus all Western languages, there are letter-based, A, B, C, D. So to convert a sound into meaningful letter in itself is quite a feat, let alone into English or whatever language that you communicate in. Which means one sound can be converted into several different letters, not just one. And then depending on your answers, he then goes the right route. For example, he would say your name contains the letters A, I, E, O, U. If one of them is in your name, well, in your case, Erica, that's correct. He will say yes, correct. And if you say no, it's incorrect, it's not, none of these is in my name, then he knows, well, that's not your leaf. He will go to the next one. He would say you're married, because the person whose leaf this is a married person. If you say yes, he stays on it. If you say no, well, then that's obviously not you. We'll go to the next one. And that is, in short, how the system works. And then at the end, bam, out of nowhere, he tells you all those things, and the only answer you can give is like yes, 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 and then he gives you your name, your first name, your father's name, mother's name, as you remember, Erica. So it was quite an overwhelming experience. I know. To me too. I remember my reading too, obviously, even though it's a few years now. So that's the matching process. And once your leaf is identified, you get a bit of a break in our institute, 15 minutes. You can catch your breath and, I don't know, get a shot of vodka or smoke a doobie. I've seen it all. I've done many readings, so it's I'm not making this up. I've seen it all. So you need to just calm your nerves, and then after 15 minutes, we start the reading. And the reading is based on 3 things. First of all, your thumbprint, which is the determining factor. I'm a true believer of self-determination. Really, I am. And people who know me, they know that that's how I function, despite all the challenges that I went through. You can change almost anything, but you cannot change your thumbprint name. That's like a genetic imprint, and that is your starting point. It's neither good nor bad, it just is. And so it's based on that. And then it's based on your energies at the time of the reading, not your mood, not if you had a fight with your husband or not, makes no difference. Your overall energies, because according to this system, every year your energies change, hopefully for the better, but not necessarily. And obviously astrology. And based on these 3 parts, you will be given a reading. The reading starts with the moment you get the reading done, because you were meant to find your leaf that moment. And it gives you a likely trajectory of your life, until you die. Nothing is set in stone. Nobody takes away your free will. You have choice, but it gives you, based on these 3 factors, a likely trajectory. And it covers the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all aspects that are important to a human being. That's family life, health, kids, grandchildren, career, spirituality, you name it. It's a so-called whole life reading. A book contains 12 chapters, and the readings that we offer covers all 12 chapters. That's spiritual chapter, family chapter, and so forth. Excuse me. And good news is, if something is challenging, so let's say in your relationship in the future, or career, or health, at the end of the reading, you get homework to do. It's known as puja. Puja is a prayer ceremony. In modern terminology, homework or energy shifting exercise. Each challenge has one specific puja, which either eliminates it altogether or at least reduces the impact. So challenge in your future can be based either on star constellation, if you're under the negative impact of Saturn, for example, or Rahu, which is a shadow planet, or Ketu, or karma. You can overcome karma too through a puja. And if you carry a big enough past life karma that impacts your life now negatively, you will also be given a karmic reading with your name, when you lived, who you were, your social setting, and what you did to now be stuck in the vicious cycle that you're stuck in. And then homework, puja, what you can do to fix it now. So it won't bother you anymore, and you won't pass it on to your next life, if indeed there is a next life for you, or pass it on to your kids and grandchildren. That was my number one motivation to get a reading done. We all carry a cross, all of us. So my motivation for getting a reading was, we all carry a cross. All of us do, in one way or another. Mine is health. I had cancer when I was a kid, a teenager, for 3 years. Spent 6 months in 3 years in the hospital. It's not just something small; it was big. It had a life-changing impact on me, obviously. And I still suffer from the treatment I got. The chemotherapy and the radiation and the surgeries. Now, getting a little more mature, I can see the impact that it has on me, and the impact is it impacted my heart. One of the valves got calcified, and my immune system is not very good. So I got a virus infection 8 years ago, which almost killed me again. I was in the ICU, and this is when I realized, oh boy, this lifetime I think I'm a pretty nice guy. So I don't know why I'm constantly in the hospital. And then connecting the dots, must have to do with karma. I learned that you can get a reading, and I've done many spiritual things, not just one or two. I'm telling you, 30 years of spiritual things, more than most, I should say. But then I learned you can fix it. You can fix your karma. That was my motivation. I told myself, if I come out of here, if I survive, I get a reading done and fix my karma. Good news is, I haven't been to hospital since. That's already, to me, an improvement. Baseline for why should I get a reading? Very simple, really super simple, is you want to lead a better life after your reading than before. That's it. You want to change your life's trajectory for the better. Whatever this means for you. To me, it's health. To another person, finding a soulmate, having kids, a better job, more paying job, whatever it is. There is no good or bad. It just is. So you want to get a better life out of it, change the trajectory for the better, and that was my aim, my goal. And that's in a nutshell. The search, matching, reading, the 3 steps, and your motivation why you want to get a reading done. Really, it could be just curiosity too. Just curiosity. Could it be that I have a leaf somewhere? Why not? So I guess I was able to recap, hopefully in a short amount of time, our first talk. Well, in February of this year, we met at the expo, and we hung out before she knew what I was doing. And then I think you just randomly walked by our booth, and then you said, "Oh my gosh, this is what you do." I said, "Yes." And obviously, initially, it instantaneously caught your attention, and you wanted to do it right away. And the rest is history. The rest is history.
Yeah.
I should say.
The rest is history. Yeah, I want to give out a little shout out to Lori Spagna. She's the
Yes.
reason why we met. Yeah, she introduced us and we hung out for a couple nights. And this is what I love about Dr. Q, you guys. He didn't mention a lick about what he did. This is so fascinating. And it just, we were just hanging out. It didn't come up. He didn't mention it. And when I walked by his booth, I was like, what is this? I was immediately fascinated by it. And then he started telling me about it. And of course, as you just heard, it's completely fascinating. And I was just blown away. And I definitely wanted to do it out of curiosity. And so
Sure,
that
of
was my
course.
motivating factor. I was just so curious to see what had been written about me 3,000 years ago, you know? And I'm blown away by the fact that this is all written in our thumbprint,
Yes.
right? And then also that these bundles contain our soul family and that we have these similar lives and that we're all over the planet. And this, you can really see it because when you're going through your reading, when you're going through your matching process and they're going through the leaf, there was maybe 2 or 3 times when I thought, "Oh, this is me. This is totally me
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
sure."
Correct. Yes.
And and then there comes a no, and it's like, "No, that's not me." And it's such a bummer because you get all excited, like, "Yeah, my leaf, my
I
leaf."
know.
And
It's
then, "Oh, totally not my leaf." But wow, does that person's life really have a lot of similarities to mine? Like, that's really neat to think that there are people around the world that are living a very similar life to yours. There's so many things about this that blow my mind. I just love
it's crazy. Yeah,
it.
I know. I know. It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
So,
then you started the journey, and you
yeah,
did it. You submitted your
yeah.
thumbprints right there.
Right there, I was like, "Let's do this right now. I
Mm,
wanna do this." Well, and then also another good friend of ours, Julia Cannon, she did it a couple years
yes.
ago. Was it a year prior? And she was telling me how amazing her experience was. And
Yes.
and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. I need to see what's been written." And what I also love about this is that you find it exactly when you are supposed to. Like your leaf starts at the age you are at the exact time in life that you find it. That's
Correct.
mind blowing.
It is. It really is. The whole
What?
thing is mind blowing. Yes.
What? It's not like just you and your life and you find it whenever. No, it starts exactly the time that you find it.
Correct.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely it is.
Yeah,
I
it
know.
really
And
is when you try to wrap your brain around it. It's like, what? Yeah. I love things that blow my mind. So yeah, obviously I was fascinated by this.
happy we can excite you a little bit. I love it too.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So you tell me about your emotions. So you submitted it, and then I told you just be patient because it takes a while.
yeah.
And then because we sent it to our office in India, and the reader started to search for it, and then you just have to twiddle your thumbs and wait. And I think it took 2 months. I don't remember, give or take 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And then we sent you an email saying we found your bundles.
Which is so exciting.
Yes. So how was that? It's like someone, some boom, you get an email saying we found your bundles, and then how did that
Yes.
feel?
Well, I'm so good. I'm very good at being patient and waiting for something because that's exciting in and of
It
itself.
is. It
Like
is. Sure.
I was that kid that even if I found my Christmas presents, I refused to open them because I wanted to wait till Christmas morning. Like I wanted to wait for the excitement for that time. Yeah, I'm very good about
Wow.
I'm very
So
good about
you're the
being
one.
patient.
You
So
are the one out of all the kids. You're the one who can do it. Great.
I'm the one, yeah. So it was easy for me to wait, but when I got the email that it was found, then I got impatient. I feel like a little bit. Then I wanted in my reading like right then because I knew it was there. Um, and not impatient, just more,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Of
just kind
course.
of like heightened my excitement. And then I was really just so excited to do the reading. And by the way, you're up in the middle of the night doing this because the time frame in India,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Correct. Yes. For West Coast people, it's 14 and a half hours.
mhm.
That India is ahead of the West Coast, and
Mhm.
East Coast is about 10 hours, depending on if it's daylight saving time or standard time, because it changes, and in India it doesn't change. But anyway, yeah. So for you, it was late at night, 10 p.m. West Coast time.
Mhm. Yeah, which is past my bedtime. So, but it was fun to be up late and doing this, because I wasn't tired. I was just,
You didn't look
the
tired at all. Yes,
adrenaline.
yes.
No, the adrenaline was just running, running. It was just so exciting. Because it really was, that process when you sit down and do it, it's like this roller coaster ride. Your emotions, like you said, you have to take that 15-minute break and settle your nerves afterwards
Oh yeah,
because you really go on a ride. It's an emotional roller coaster. That's fun.
it is.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I know
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
very fun.
It is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And also mind-blowing, when they actually find your leaf, it, like you know it. You know it's coming. And because it's just like, okay, this one. It's like it feels a little different than those other ones. It's like, yeah, this one is it. And it's funny because luckily, Dr. Q is such a good moderator because we would have moved right past my leaf if he didn't catch me answering wrong.
Oh.
And he didn't even know. He didn't know my story. So one of the first questions was basically, it was the first question on my leaf, which means to me, this is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. Yes.
Right. And the question was, did you receive an inheritance? And my mother had passed years ago, right? But I didn't get an inheritance. It went to my dad. And when my dad goes, then it comes to us, right? So my answer was, no, not yet. Right. And then you stopped and said, hold on. Did you get any sort of gift or monies of any kind or like anything?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought for a second and I was like, oh, wait, yes, I did. My dad actually, he did give me some money to start a business years ago, right?
Cool.
And which was kind of that inheritance.
It is, yes, sure.
Right? That was right. And so I was like, oh, wait, well, yeah, we did. Okay. So now because they were about to change that leaf. And then I was like, yeah, yes. Okay. So we stayed on the leaf. Well, that was my leaf. If you hadn't chimed in, we would have missed it. How about that?
There you go, Now you know why you pay me the big bucks, to listen intently. What's going on?
Seriously, and question, because it's funny, you do a preparation before the call.
Yes.
And you say, write down your mother's names, write down the names and write down how many letters or things like that. Because when they ask you, it's hard to think about it in the moment. Like simple answers, like what is your name, is hard to come up with because you're kind of like, what? Like in my reading, especially, what is your name? When they were on a leaf that I thought was mine. And then he said, is your name something like Jessica? And I had to think for a second, like, wait, is that my name? Wait, no, that's not my name. Like it really, because you get so like in it and you just kind of, I don't know how to explain the mind bumble that happens, but yeah.
I mean, we've had people who forgot, I'm telling you, they couldn't remember how many kids they have.
Yeah.
Or grandchildren, how many times they've been married. I know it sounds funny, but I know because I've said many, many, many readings, they're just so excited, overwhelmed, just overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And so sucked into this whole process because you want this leaf to be yours, period. You want this to be a match. And then you give incoherent, sometimes, answers, or answers that are completely the opposite of what you already said before. So my job, I mean, and every moderator's job in what we do in our institute is to listen to what you already have said before. It's like, you have no idea how many times we hear, you're married, yes, and then you have a good relationship with the partner, yes. Like, so, we're talking, I'm just fast forwarding during the matching process, and then you're thinking about separation, yes. I was like, hello, you just said, before, you have a good relationship, yes, but yeah, I'm still thinking of separation. She's like, oh my god, okay. Many times, I'm telling you, many times it happens. And then or mixing up their own name, so because they really want this to be their leaf.
Yeah.
And then to just help people, as you know, we send a matching form. You write down your name and how many letters and so forth, and if they are a saint's name or a leader's name like King John or Saint John, makes it easier. And how many kids do you have, how many grandchildren do you have, and how many adopted kids do you have, or half siblings, or any of that, just to make sure it's written on that form. It's for you to keep. You don't have to share it with us, because really the reader doesn't need to know any of that. Neither do we as the moderators, but it helps. Indeed it does. And once you're sucked into this whole game, you're willing to change your names too, because but that's my middle name. He just said my middle name. I'm like, oh, that's good, but it goes with your first name, not your middle name. Forget about the middle name. Oh, that's my, I don't know, whatever. So it happens all the time. And it's very exciting.
You want to make it
You
fit.
want to make it fit, of course. You bend your own
Yeah.
life into this being your life. I said, no, I assure you, there is no need to rush. There is no need to bend anything. You will know it's you if all the questions you answer with a yes, and then comes the big bang at the end, your name, parents' names, the whole 9 yards. And it happens, yes.
Yeah.
And it happens, it really does.
Yeah. And that moment feels very overwhelming because you know it's your leaf. Like they had my partner, right? Like they knew his name and what he did, and my brother and how many kids, and my dad and my mom, and the whole thing. And then when they said my mother's name, that's when I really was like, oh, okay. You got my mom's name. Like, this is definitely me. And then when they said my name, it was just like,
Wow.
ooh, yeah. Yeah. It's hard to describe that overwhelming emotion.
It is.
Yeah. But I definitely had a lot of tears for sure. Yeah.
And you're not the only one.
It was
You're
beautiful.
not the only one, I'm telling you, quite often.
Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to tell you about our new sponsor, Features. If you pay attention when you watch any of the episodes of my variety talk show Optimistic, you'll notice that I typically take my shoes off at some point during the interview portion, and it quickly becomes very obvious I am a huge fan of fun, funky, colorful socks. So when Features originally reached out to me, I was super excited because I instantly loved the way they looked, which used to be all I mainly cared about in a sock. But after actually wearing them, I realized there is a really good reason runners and golfers are increasingly making Features their sock of choice above and beyond their excellent style. As we talk about consistently on the show, small changes can make a huge difference, and upgrading to Features has definitely been an upgrade for me. Features have been engineered with targeted compression and an excellent design that keep them from bunching, slipping, and sliding into your shoe. I absolutely love the unique cut of the Elite golf socks and the anatomical design of all their styles because they actually conform to the left and right shape of your feet, creating an enhanced, custom-like fit that reduces discomfort and prevents blisters. They're also so durable and long-lasting that if you're unsatisfied at any point, they'll give you a replacement pair, no questions asked, lifetime guaranteed. And I can guarantee if you guys take advantage of the $10 off offer on your first pair at features.com when you use the code POSITIVEHEAD, that they will change how you feel about socks forever too. Once again, that's Features spelled FEETURES.com. Promo code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, to receive $10 off your first pair.
I remember, nobody recorded me, I didn't have the luxury that you have, but yeah, or anyone has that does it through us because we record it all. And yeah, it's overwhelming. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. I was like, oh my God, holy moly, how can this be?
Right. Yeah. And then you move on to the actual reading, which is like a whole nother part of it.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
The overwhelming
that reading
part,
of your thumbprint is amazing too.
Yes, it's true. The reading, now the matching part is the one part that you can verify. So you're blown away by it because you can verify it because you know it. And the reading is in the future. It's beautiful when you look at it a year later or 6 months later, from hindsight, then you know that the reading was actually pretty cool.
Which is happening to me
which
right
is happening to you now because your reading is like 6 months ago-ish, give or take.
Yep. And it's all been right on.
Wow.
So far.
Cool. My first reading was 7 years ago, and yeah, parts of it right on, like boom, and some of it not so much. But again, it's not a science. It's a guideline. It's a guideline, really. And life is so complex. And I have to reiterate one more time, your life is not set in stone. No matter what anybody says or wants to tell you, no, your life is never set in stone because you are the only creator of your own life, period. But you may take on board some guidance, some help. And it's up to you to take it on board or not, because nobody's there with a gun against your forehead saying, you do this now, you turn left now. No, it's you. You either do it or you don't do it. You do care about it or you don't care, whatever. And apart from the reading per se, you interact with other humans and their actions or inactions. So that has an impact on you too. I can give you a small example so people maybe understand it a little better. I always wanted to have kids, ever since I was a teenager, 15, 16. I was like, play with kids, with a camp counselor and stuff. But I don't have any kids. So in my reading, he said, you will have no kids. It's just not in your book. I wasn't shocked. It helped me understand better. I said, okay, well, if that's in the books, then that's in the books. That's okay, I can live with it. But he said, if indeed you meet a woman whose fate or who must have a child because it's in her book, then that energy can overtake yours, and you might be a dad, like a biological father. And if not, you will take care of somebody else's child. Which is also fine. I don't need to have my own genes passed on. If I can help someone else and be somebody else's guide, also good. It's not an issue for me, really. And he said that is more you, to help someone else grow and be their guide. So I can accept. Anyway, so the important message is your life is not set in stone. You do it through your own thoughts and actions and inactions. But it's a great help. It really is, in my opinion. And I'm a big fan, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here. I would not have changed my life to do this, because it was not easy. People think it's easy because it's all done now after I don't know how many years and how much money I spent in setting this all up the right way. Just the cultural shock between India and the West, that alone, to bridge that was quite a feat. Erica knows because you did a reading. The whole purpose of me doing this is very simple. To most people, going to India is a no-no, period. That's just the way it is. To people who've been to India and are India fans, like, I cannot imagine why you don't want to go to India, because it's beautiful, it's magical. But believe it or not, to 98% of people, India is a no-no. No way. They will never go. It's either too spicy, the food, or too hot, or whatever it might be. I don't know. They won't go. Hence, we do this so that people don't have to go to India, because everything happens in India. We have an office in India, period. It has to be done in India, but from the comfort of your home. So it's air conditioned. You can sip on your iced tea while you're doing this reading. Because the reality, friends, the reality is this. I know, because I know I did my reading there, and also I run this whole thing. It is hot as hell. It's humid as hell. It's dusty. And there are mosquitoes everywhere. And they use incense that blows your mind. You can hardly breathe. And me having a cancer and chemotherapy, I'm very sensitive to scent. So that was like a constant being hit with a sledgehammer. Having to inhale and breathe in the incense. So that's the reality. So mosquitoes, hot as hell. It's a tiny room. It's a hole in the wall, really. Office, however you want to call that, office or not. And then you sit right across from the reader, and nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, because you're like stuck in this little claustrophobic place where it's hot as hell, humid, mosquitoes, incense, the whole 9 yards. And then nobody's there to record it or hold your hand and say, okay, now it's the important part. Go back, because I think you made a mistake there. You're sitting there focusing on what he's telling to tell you in a heavy accent in Indian English. And then you're right. So you're constantly looking up, right now, trying to catch up with what the guy's telling you. And then you go through your notes, a whole booklet of notes, because you're writing like crazy on it. And then you cannot even decipher your own handwriting anymore, because you just try to be as fast as possible. So that is the reality of it. But Erica, your experience is a lot smoother. I know it's late for you, I understand. It's not very comfortable, but hey, it's once in a lifetime.
Right.
It's no flight to India. That alone is a It's a
Right.
challenge. Inoculation. If you go to India, you need to get an inoculated period. You need to get a visa period. So you get a visa, inoculation, flight, and then time zone difference. Be there, and then find the person. Go there. A lot of people send me an email saying, "Hey, can I do it in India?" I said, "Sure. Good luck. Go ahead and do it there. No problem." Because they say, "Oh, I can find a reader myself." I said, "Oh, good luck. It's like beautiful. Just go there." And India only has a billion people, and good luck finding a reader that you trust. But of course, I'll also share our office. Not a problem if somebody wants to do it there, of course. But it's not the same. I'm telling you, because you're relaxed in your favorite couch or chair, and you sip your whatever you do, and you can just absorb the whole thing in a very comfortable environment. While the reality is not quite as comfortable, I'm telling you, it's not.
Sure. And you're still and you're still getting that same
Oh
experience,
yes,
which is really nice. You're still getting, yeah. And you're, for me, I feel like able to take more out of it because you are more comfortable. You're not distracted. You have a recording, and so that's wonderful. And just to go back to what you said there about destiny, um, it's interesting. Again, I'm thinking about Julia Cannon. She uses this analogy of a maze that are that we plan for ourselves in this lifetime. And in this maze is like kind of the analogy of how we walk through life,
yes.
right? But there's certain points along the maze that like our soul has planned that we have to get to, like these lesson points. But we can use our free will to get stuck in a different part of the maze where we're not getting to that checkpoint because we refuse to listen or whatever, and we just kind of go back and forth in this hallway where we're not getting anywhere, right? Until we decide to go another direction. Oh, there's our little point. And so I'd like that analogy when we're talking about destiny and free will, because yes, while it is written, we also have that choice to change or not do or not hit that point or whatever it is. But it is written. And with the palm leaves, you can see that. And then with the pujas and the energetic homework, I love that. You can you can you can shift
You
it.
can change, yeah.
I don't want to say change it. You can
Shift it.
shift it. Yeah. And I have to say that's something that I have not done my pujas yet. And well, I'm gonna do my pujas. It's just, you know what, Dr. Q, one of my pujas are kind of funny. Um, I live in the desert of Arizona, and I have to go feed a baby cow for 5 weeks on a Friday. So every Friday for 5 weeks, I have to go find a baby cow. Well, that's not easy because I probably have to drive at least an hour to get there to wherever it is that I would go to find a baby cow.
Mm-hmm.
so so I will do my pujas when I can find a close baby cow. Or when it's baby cow
When's
season,
baby cow
because
season?
there's,
Yes, there is season. Yes,
I
correct.
think it's more springtime, right?
But you can
Yeah.
do the others because you have several, not just this one.
Yes. I have to go back and look and see, because that isn't there an
There is
order
an
where you
order.
have to start. Actually, that's not my first one. My first one is doing some mantra and prayers on Mondays, which that I can do.
Each puja, its prayer ceremony, is a universe of its own. And a puja can be either a mantra or chant or a physical act, like in your case, feed baby cows. It's actually quite an honor because there are not very many that get that, to do that. It's a challenge, I understand that too. I can tell you my challenging puja, physical act puja was uh, feed on 2 consecutive Wednesdays the needy. I was like, what do you mean the needy? Should I do a soup kitchen? Should I donate money? What should I do? I said, oh, you will figure it out. Now, in my reading, I was told I'd be living in Budapest, and now I do live in Budapest, mind you. I don't know anyone. I was like, I don't know what to do here. But on the day, because I was sweating, I didn't want to miss a day, obviously, because if you screw it up, you have to start from scratch, from the beginning. It hit me just in a cafe, just pay somebody's food as a random act of kindness without letting them know. So I observed people in this little cafe restaurant, and I told the waiter, you know what, I'm going to pay for that lady's food. Just don't tell her. Because in my mind, she was needy. She didn't, she looked a little not so happy, a little down. And The clothes, I thought maybe it's a money issue too. So I just paid for it. It's beautiful. I'm telling you, for me, it was beautiful. It was just an amazing experience for me. And that's 7 years ago. And I've been doing it ever since. Ever since. I do it in the US when I'm
Oh,
back
I
in the
love
US.
that.
I do like these random little things. Or if I see like a couple fighting, at Starbucks or somewhere, not fighting, but you can tell, you can tell there is, it's not smooth. Something's going on. And then they buy the drinks. And then I just paid for them. I said, you know what? Maybe this helps you shift your energies. And then people are like overwhelmed. It's like, oh my gosh. And it changes the whole thing. It's like a puja. It's like a energy shifting, energy changing experience. But to tell you the challenging one that the reader told me, this crazy man, he said on 5 consecutive Fridays, I should bring candy and fruits to children. Now, mind you, I'm a foreigner in this new country, in the city. Middle-aged men showing up with, a sack of candies and fruits. Say, ding, you know what I mean? That was a challenge.
That does not look too great. That's a little, yeah. Every parent is like, who is the creepy man with the candy? Get away from my kid. Yeah,
and,
that's challenge for sure.
Challenge. But despite all the high-end Botox that I use to look, sexy and cute and this and that, the other, but there's a limiter. But I of course overcame it. I just found like an orphanage and a kindergarten, and so I talked to the staff and I said, look, I'm not a crazy middle-aged guy. This is what I do, and here it is. It's all original packs, nothing crazy in it. And they loved it, man. And I observed, when they gave it to the kids, it was fantastic. It was beautiful. It really was.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah, no, so it is really, you do it for yourself too. Really, you do it for yourself because you feel great. You feel fantastic. And imagine you picturing feeding the baby cow. It's awesome.
Oh,
you would take
I'm totally
10,000
looking forward
pictures
to
of
it.
that,
I can't wait.
Selfies, left, right, and center. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, if I was in Colorado living near where my brother lives, I would have cows
Everywhere,
all over the place, and it would be a 5-minute drive, or a walk even,
yeah.
But yeah. So,
but who knows? You might be.
I am looking forward to that.
There might be an opportunity for you at some point where you're 5 weeks somewhere, and all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, they're cows! Holy moly! Then
Absolutely.
you never know.
Yes, I definitely.
You never know.
I definitely plan on being somewhere for 5 weeks with cows. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the city. Sounds good.
Yes. Not bad at all. Yes. Very cool. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these pujas are very important, and we talked beforehand about this, and it's interesting. I haven't done my pujas yet, and it's like not doing your homework. It's like not taking the medicine that your doctor prescribed. It's like when I do a QHHT session and I'm like, here's your recording. Listen to this over and over again. You get healing every time. And then they don't listen, And so it's the same thing. We all do this as humans, Every single one of us does it. And so, yeah, this is just my little reminder. The homework is important. And I'm reminding myself and everyone else anytime, like if there's been recommendations and follow-up work after any kind of therapy or healing modality that you've done, do the work afterwards. It's very important. It solidifies, it continues, right?
It is, yeah. Because we talked about pujas before, and I said I could use an example in a book that I've read several times, not just once, by Paramahansa Yogananda. So whoever's out there into spirituality and yoga, he's the guy. He is the one who wrote the Bible for yoga. It's the autobiography of a yogi. Amazing book. And when I read it, I come from a Catholic background, Catholic by background. So my mom's Catholic, so I was an altar boy. And being Catholic, to you, a saint is a person who's long dead, suffered a lot, and you can really relate to them because they're like paintings in a church. But so I read his book 20 years ago for the first time, I think. And it talks about saints all the time, like walking saints, like saints that are alive. So to me, it was mind-blowing. How can a saint be alive? I don't understand this. They should have suffered a lot and then be long dead, but they're not. And so in his book, he talks about Paramahansa, that is an autobiography. So when he was a kid and a teenager, he had several different gurus. And one of the gurus, when I was a teenager, could heal people. And we're talking over 100 years ago. We're talking the late 1800s. He could heal people. And so Paramahansa was his student and traveled with him. And wherever this guru showed up, people would line up in the village and he would just heal them, but just either touching them or just looking at them. big, big issues, cancer, leprosy, you name it, like very heavy duty stuff. But at the same time, his guru would give these people that he just healed crazy homework. Crazy. Like, he's like, what the hell is that? For example, we would tell one of them, you carry this raw egg in your left pocket for the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. What a homework is that? Or you drink milk for the next 3 weeks with your right hand only. Or, like, I'm telling you, crazy, crazy things. So Paramahansa looks at his big guru and says, Guru, I don't understand what you're doing here. I know you can heal him. You know you can heal him. There you just healed. Why would you have him carry a raw egg in their left pocket for 3 weeks? He says, Paramahansa, I know that. I know that I can heal him. You know that I can heal him. They don't know it. So if this gentleman, puts his willpower behind making sure that the egg doesn't crack for 3 weeks in his pocket, during those 3 weeks, his healing has manifested and he will be healed from leprosy. But if he doesn't care, is careless or whatever, and it cracks, well, then obviously he doesn't want to be healed because he doesn't give a what. So then there is nothing I can do about it. And that is, plus, 150 years ago, a poor Indian having pockets in his pants is already a challenge, and no holes in it. So you got to look at it also from a historical point of view. But still, even in modern times, if somebody told me now, hey, for the next 3 weeks, you carry this egg in your pocket and make sure it doesn't crack, it's a challenge, man. It's huge. It's huge. It's not easy at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you put your energies behind it, and then without even thinking of your own healing, you get healed because all your willpower and energy is going into that one thing. And through that, you come out a better person, a healed person in this case. Yes.
And that is the way healing works, because I talk about this on this show all the time. There is no such thing as somebody healing you. You
Correct.
are healing yourself.
Correct.
That person who is offering you a healing is all that is, offering a healing that you then have to accept and integrate and believe in order for it to stick, right? So that's exactly what this is. It is a way to make people basically take that personal responsibility to do the work and solidify their own belief by doing that. I love it. That's beautiful. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Wow. So, Dr. Q, tell everyone how they can find you if they would like a reading.
Well, we have a website, believe it or not. It's Indian.
Believe it or not, in this day and age, website. What?
I know, it sounds crazy. It really does sound crazy. Although I must admit, I am the biggest disliker of social media. I really am. I cannot stand it anymore. It's just way too intrusive. But being in modern times, it's the only way to communicate with people. And a website is just the kosher old school thing. So we have a website called IndianPalmLeafReading.com. Very literal. IndianPalmLeafReading.com. You can send us an email to info@IndianPalmLeafReading.com. If you find us on Facebook, of course, to Indian Palm Leaf Reading, easy. We're on Instagram, even though I'm not a big fan of this, either one of them, but we're on that too. Indian Palm Leaf Reading. We're on Google, of course, too. Google for Business, we have that too. We've got it all. YouTube, oh my gosh, YouTube, because your video is on our YouTube channel, Indian Palm Leaf Reading. YouTube is the coolest thing, really. I like YouTube because you can learn. It's a good educational tool for many things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, YouTube, Indian Palm Leaf Reading, and you will see Erica's video on it, and many, 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 many other videos that we put there. Just so people can connect and get a feel for. And we're very grateful, by the way, that Eric allowed to video the whole thing from beginning to the end. But we have some portions of it. We've got testimonials on it. We've got videos from India. A lot of our interviews that I give, and there have been many over the years. Some of them are on our YouTube channel too. And so Indian Palm Leaf Reading is the name that you can find us the easiest. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, you guys, if you want to see my entire reading, it is up on their YouTube page. It's quite
It
fascinating.
is.
Yeah. And it's funny. Like, I think about it now and it's like, wow, yeah, that's my whole life story, I guess. Yeah. It's it's pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys want to check that out, it's there.
And you have
I thank
inspired a lot
you.
of people, I'm telling you, and the audience
Oh,
too, by allowing this whole thing and the whole emotions. You're crying over the whole thing is on it, everything, and
yeah.
and also things that are maybe hard to share with the world, like your ex, and this and that, the whole.
Right.
And people have
All
watched
my
it.
scandalous
I know.
behavior.
Oh my God! Yes, indeed. Yes. But people really get a lot from it because we get signups every day. We have a lot of signups, but many times I read, oh, and by the way, I watched also Dr. Erica's video. I was like, oh my gosh, wow, you have
Hmm.
a big impact on people, um,
Hmm.
indirectly, because they watched it, they were fascinated by it. And
Hmm.
just a couple months ago, I came across Reverend Bill McDonald, and he will have a reading done with us too. He's from California, Northern California, Sacramento. And then he checked us out, of course, and then he said, "Oh my God, this Dr. Erica video, I will do the same. I want this to be recorded. I want this to go live." And yes, you're setting a trend here. What can I say?
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, yes.
I love it. I've
Thank you.
never done that in my life, so that's a first.
You see, not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Oh, I love it. Dr. Q, you are the best. Thank you so much for joining me
I feel
today.
humbled. Thank you for the invite and allowing me to talk and
Hmm.
share the experience, and yeah, be there for whoever needs help. We're here. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. What a beautiful man Dr. Q he is. He's such a beautiful soul.
Botox. It's the
It's not the Botox. It's not the... Oh my God.
Botox.
I love it. I love you, Dr. Q.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so, so much.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.
guys, we are going to leave you with a song for today. This is Drum Spider Maze Walking. Until next time,
Beautiful. Thank
love
you.
you all.
Namaste. Bye bye.
Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to remind you about the game with the universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time. And if you go to positivehead.com/universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and greatest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to spark the curiosity of friends and family by having them choose a number, so they'll hopefully go and check out their number as well, which I greatly appreciate because it helps us to spread the word about the podcast. Once again, the address is positivehead.com/universe. And as a quick reminder, if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them almost every day, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and grandest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I cannot stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so. I have my favorite, the appleberry shake, at least 5 times a week. Once again, to learn more about the Purium transformation, go to positivehead.com/transformation. Or if you want to keep it simple and just try out my favorite, the appleberry shake, you can go straight over to ishoppurium.com and be sure to use code positivehead for 25% off. I'll spell that for you. It's ishoppurium.com. And be sure to use your Positive Head 25% coupon code.